Good evening. It's Friday, the 20th of January, and it's time for the news on RIK 2. President Anastasiades and Turkish Cypriot leader Mustafa Kemal will resume their negotiations in their quest for a Cyprus solution after a team of technocrats meeting in Montpellier, Switzerland, concluded the drafting of a working paper for the resumption of the Geneva conference. Government spokesman Nikos Christodoulidis said Anastasiades and Akinci will meet either on January the 25th or 6th to continue discussion of the 5 chapters touching upon internal issues on which there are still divergences. The spokesman said that the negotiators have not scheduled more meetings as the negotiator of the Greek Cypriot side, Andreas Mavrogiannis, will travel to New York for talks with officials of the United Nations Secretariat. The group of technocrats of the Greek and Turkish Cypriot communities in the Montpellier talks had an unofficial meeting today under the auspices of the United Nations. Christodoulidis said the meeting was aimed at making a review of what has been discussed over the past 2 days. He said the teams of technocrats have set on paper questions by each side on what should have happened with security arrangements, and each side gave its answers to these questions. The spokesman said that the majority converged on the central question, which was how to safeguard the external security of a reunified Cyprus. But he said that there have been different approaches on the modalities to address the questions laid down by the delegations. Former United States Vice President Joe Biden has praised the courage and decisiveness of the 2 Cypriot community leaders, which he said had led to unprecedented progress towards finding a Cyprus solution. Biden, who had been closely involved with efforts to solve the problem for many years in one of his last official acts, commented on telephone conversations he had with President Anastasiades and Mustafa Kemal. A White House statement expressed hope that the current momentum will continue and promised to be available to further help the 2 leaders. Biden also called Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, thanking him for his personal involvement in the Cyprus negotiations. 6 people have been found alive under the avalanche that hit an Italian mountain hotel almost 2 days ago, and rescuers are working to free them from the snow. A fire brigade spokesman said the rescuers were talking to the survivors as they tried to move the snow and free them. Up to 30 people were reported missing after the avalanche destroyed the hotel in central Italy on Wednesday afternoon, hours after 4 relatively strong earthquakes jolted the area. So far, 2 bodies have been found, and Italian media said 2 other bodies had been located. Rescuers kept digging all night with bare hands to move the snow and debris, as no machinery could be moved to the site because of the deep snow. A man deliberately drove into pedestrians, killing 3 and injuring more than 15 in the centre of Australia's second-largest city, Melbourne, at noon local time, but police said the incident was not terrorism-related. Police eventually rammed the car and shot the 26-year-old driver in the arm before dragging him from the vehicle and arresting him. One of the dead is a 1-year-old baby. Police said the man, who is believed to be of Greek extraction, had a history of family violence and was wanted over a stabbing earlier in the day. Pursued by police cars, the man had been seen driving erratically before speeding into a pedestrian mall, deliberately ploughing into people. A shop video showed several people diving in panic into a convenience store as the car raced along the footpath. Tens of thousands of law enforcement officers and miles of barriers were in place in Washington today as officials braced for hundreds of thousands of people planning to celebrate or protest Donald Trump's inauguration as President of the United States. About 900,000 people packed central Washington, including the grassy National Mall facing the Capitol, where Trump will be sworn in, and the parade route along Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House. One of the largest anti-Trump protests expected today will be organized by the Answer Coalition, a broad-based liberal group which gathered thousands at the U.S. Navy Memorial. Anti-Trump protests are being held in several world cities, including Nicosia, where protesters deplored his racist views. In local news, secondary school children today threw stones, oranges and flares at the building of Parliament when they gathered there to protest at new school regulations introduced by the Ministry of Education. The students shouted slogans against the introduction of examinations every 4 months and the reduction of allowed absences from classes. The gathering outside Parliament was called by the Students' Coordinating Committee, which also objected to the reintroduction of an official school uniform. The Students' Committee urged Parliament to throw out the new regulations. The committee deplored incidents caused by the students and claimed that they had been provoked by policemen. Education Minister Kostas Gaddis said that decisions should be taken through democratic processes and not by throwing stones and acting violently. He said that the regulations were scientifically documented and had been discussed with the students before they were sent to Parliament. A 50-year-old man was found dead under his bike in Ayia Napa after midnight, but the cause of his death is not yet clear. Police said they are investigating whether the man was the victim of a road accident or whether his death was due to other reasons. In another serious accident in Paphos last night, a 31-year-old delivery man suffered serious head injuries when his motorbike was hit by a car. He was transferred to the Nicosia General Hospital because of the severity of his injuries. Greece's visiting President Prokopis Pavlopoulos last night inaugurated an exhibition of icons made 8 centuries ago when Cyprus was under the occupation of Crusaders. The Maniera Cypria exhibition was meant to show how artists tried to make the Eastern style coexist with that of the West at a time when Cyprus suffered the hardship of the occupation by the mainstream orders of chevaliers. The icons and paintings exhibited were made between the 12th and 13th centuries. The most notable of the Crusaders' occupation of Cyprus is the Colossi Castle west of Limassol. And now a look at the weather. It will be partly cloudy tomorrow with isolated rain. Winds will be light to moderate northwesterly to northeasterly, force 3 to 4 over slight seas. Temperatures will reach 14 Celsius inland, 16 in coastal areas and 4 over the mountains. It will be mostly fine over the next 3 days, with temperatures going up slightly. The depth of snow is 75 centimetres on Mount Olympus and 65 on the Troodos Square. That's all for us today. Join us tomorrow again for more news in English. Have a very good evening.